Good morning, dear students. This is Dr. Pratibha Case, Head Department of Biotechnology at KLE Society's S. Nijalingappa College. Today, our biotechnology students, Miss Bhanupriya, Chaitra, Ruchita, they are going to present a seminar talk on recombination in prokaryotes. Over to Bhanupriya.
Good morning to one and all present. This is Bhanupriya H from second year CBBT, KLE Society's S. Nijalingappa College, Rajajinagar, Bangalore. I thank Dr. Pratibha ma'am, HOD in Department of Biotechnology, for giving an opportunity for this presentation. Today, we are dealing with the topic of recombination in prokaryotes. Before getting into the topic, we'll learn some of the basic terminologies. Recombination in prokaryotes. First of all, what is a prokaryote? A prokaryote is a typically unicellular organism that lacks a nuclear membrane within the enclosed nucleus. Example, bacteria. So here you can see the diagram of bacterial cell, wherein contains all the cell organelles except the nuclear membrane, so which encloses the nucleus. In this chapter, we are going to learn in the recombination in prokaryotes. Recombination. Mixture of genetic information is called as recombination. The next terminology is gene transfer. Gene transfer refers to the movement of genetic information between organisms. It can be horizontal or vertical. So what is horizontal and vertical gene transfer? Transfer of genes from parents to offsprings is termed as vertical gene transfer. Sexual reproduction in eukaryotes is an example of vertical gene transfer. Next, horizontal gene transfer. Transfer of genes between two independent organisms is called as horizontal gene transfer. So horizontal gene transfer is also known as lateral gene transfer. Example for horizontal gene transfer is prokaryotes do a vertical gene transfer when they reproduce by binary fission. It means when the reproduction is of the type of binary fission, then the vertical gene transfer could be seen in prokaryotes. And they can also do horizontal gene transfer when they pass the gene to other prokaryotic cell. The next terminology we are about to learn is genetic recombination. The process of replacement of one allele by different alleles from the same gene by preserving the structure of genes is termed as genetic recombination. We could see three mechanisms of horizontal gene transfer. Firstly, transformation, next, transduction, and conjugation. I'm dealing with the first mechanism, that is transformation. What is transformation? Transformation is the uptake of a naked DNA molecule or fragment from the medium by a cell and the incorporation of this molecule into the chromosome of the recipient. So here you could see the bacterial cell. In the diagram, you could see the transformation taking place in the bacterial cell. The first bacterial cell is the recipient cell. This is the recipient cell, wherein the DNA from the dead cells get cut off into fragments and exits the cell. Later, the free-floating DNA then will be picked up by the competent cell. So the second bacterial cell is the competent cells. Later, the exogenous DNA is incorporated into the host cell. The third bacterial cell is the host cell. After the incorporation, chromosomes will be arranged using the via recombination. Many of the scientists did so many experiments to see what is responsible for the defects or the diseases that spread to one another. Griffith experiment is one among them. Griffith experiment, reported in 1928 by Frederick Griffith, was the first experiment suggesting that bacteria are capable of transferring genetic information through a process known as transformation. Frederick Griffith, an English army doctor, wanted to make a vaccine against Streptococcus pneumoniae, which caused bacterial pneumonia. Though he failed in making the vaccine, he stumbled on a demonstration of the transmission of genetic information by a substance that was to be called the transforming principle. He found the bacterium had two forms when grown on agar plates, a smooth S strain and a rough R strain. In the diagram, you could see the rough R strain, and the second one is the smooth S strain, wherein when the R strain were injected into the mice, they found to be harmless, but when S strain were injected into the mice, they were found to be lethal. When heat-killed smooth S cells were injected into the mice, then they turned to be harmless. But when live R cells were mixed with killed S cells and injected into the mice died. So the bacteria re-isolated from those mice had been transformed by the process of transformation into the S type. This is the diagram representing the Griffith experiment. Firstly, when rough R strain were injected into the mice lives. When smooth S strain were injected into the mice dies. When heat-killed smooth S strain were injected into the mice lives. When rough R strain and heat-killed S strains both were mixed and injected into the mice dies. So the conclusion what he came was, this experiment strongly implied that genetic material had been transferred from the dead to the live bacterial cells. It was very difficult to know exactly what genetic material was transferred, which was responsible for the transformation. So in 1944, Avery, MacLeod, and McCarthy identified the chemical nature of the transforming principle and showed that it is DNA, the vehicle of inheritance. Later, Taylor and Efrusi demonstrated reciprocal transformation between 25 strains of pneumococci. A part of bacterial genome was replaced by newly introduced DNA through recombination. This transformation has been observed in both gram-positive, that is Streptococcus pneumoniae, as well as in gram-negative, that is Haemophilus influenzae. The prerequisite for bacteria to undergo transformation is its ability to take up free extracellular genetic material. Such bacteria are termed as competent cells. So as I said before, the second bacterial cell which we saw for the example of transformation is the competent cell. So competent bacteria that can take up DNA encode proteins called competence factor. If the exogenous genetic material is similar to bacterial DNA, it may integrate into the chromosome. Sometimes the exogenous genetic material may coexist as a plasmid with chromosomal DNA. The single-stranded DNA becomes coated with DNA-binding proteins. Ultimately, we could see the segregation taking place due to semi-conservative DNA replication and phenotype expression of the integrated donor gene or genes in the transformed cell. This is the diagram wherein we could see the transformation with the DNA fragments as well as the transformation with a plasmid. First one is transformation with DNA fragments. This is the DNA fragments and this is the bacterial chromosome. When the uptake of DNA takes place into the bacterial chromosomes, integration takes place. If the integration is of the type of homologous recombination, then stable transformation could be seen. If the integration is of the type of degradation, then unsuccessful transformation could be seen. This is the DNA plasmid, this is the bacterial chromosome. When the uptake of DNA plasmid into the bacterial chromosome takes place, a stable transformation could be seen. So this is how transformation takes place in bacterial cell. So the next mechanism, that is transduction, will be explained by my friend Chaitra.
I am Chaitra from second CBBT. I am dealing with the topic called transduction. Firstly, moving on to transduction. What is transduction? Transduction is an event in which bacteriophages functions as vectors or vehicles to transfer DNA from donor bacteria to recipient bacteria. Next, Zinder and Liedenberg in 1951 discovered transfer of bacterial gene by phage. Now, moving on to the types of transduction, it is of two types. Firstly, generalized transduction, and second is specialized transduction. Now, let me know about what is bacteriophage. Bacteriophage are the viruses that infect and replicate with the bacterium is called as bacteriophage. Here, we can see the diagram of bacteriophage consisting of capsid head, nucleic acid, tail, base plate, spikes, and tail fiber. It is of two types. One is temperate phage and another one is virulent phage. Now moving on to virulent phage. These virulent phage are those that are capable of causing bacterial infection and eventual destruction and death of bacterial cell, which follow lytic cycle. Example, T4 phage. The second type is temperate phage. Does not cause disruptive infection. Example, lambda phage. Now moving on to the types of transduction, first is generalized transduction. In generalized transduction, a DNA fragment is transferred from one bacterium to another by a lytic phage, which carry donor bacterial DNA due to an error. Next, the steps that involved in generalized transduction is, in the first step, we can see bacteria, cell, donor DNA, phage DNA, and virus. In the first step, a lytic bacteriophage infects a susceptible bacteria. Where the phage genome enters the bacterium, it causes degradation and bacterial host. It is divided where it has a DNA into fragments. Phage genome replicates using host machinery and synthesize enzymes as a coat proteins. So in the third step, we can see the phage genome replicates using the host machinery. In the fourth step, so the only bacterial host, which is known as a host, present in the transducing phage, where this transducing phage occurs only at low frequency. This transducing phage carrying bacterial DNA or donor, which will infect the another cell and transfer the DNA into the recipient bacterial cell. So due to this, the recombination occurs, where this in the new recombination new cell as a mixture of donor DNA and one of its own DNA. Next, the second type is specialized transduction. In specialized transduction, a DNA fragment is transferred from one bacteria to another by a temperate bacteriophage. Whereas in generalized transduction, it is by lytic phage, but in specialized transduction, it is of temperate bacteriophage, which carry donor DNA along with phage genome due to an error. The phage insert in genome of a donor at specific site and perform site-specific recombination. The occurrence of specialized transduction only occurs when lysogenic infected donor bacteria enter to the lytic cycle and it releases a phage progeny. Progeny means in a offspring. Next, the steps that involved in specialized transduction. In the first step, we can see a bacterial cell where phage particle by internalizes its genetic material. Because of its attachment site, it forms prophage. Gets lysogenized. Lysogenized means viral genetic material integrated with host bacterial chromosomes, which enters into lytic cycle. By induction and by excision, it is back to its original form. It has an ability to replicate itself and form a phage particle. Along with this pact, that is a chromosomal DNA plus viral DNA together packed into phage particles. Then the bacteria lies. When the bacteria lies, it causes transduction phage, where this transduction phage occurs in low frequency particle which go for the next infection cycle. So it binds over the receptor of a next bacterium by internalizes its genetic material. So with the help of this phage particle, it can be integrated as a prophage. Otherwise, it can be integrated where the integration leads to the unstable transduction, where this stable transduction can only happens by a crossover of a gene, where it depends on integration. Now the next is the types of different types of a difference between transformation and transduction. Transformation, transfer of genetic material takes place from a donor to recipient bacterium through the liquid medium, whereas in transduction, transfer of genetic material takes place from donor to recipient bacteria through the bacteriophage. In transformation, the enzyme's deoxyribonuclease can completely check the process, whereas in transduction, the enzyme's deoxyribonuclease has no effect on transduction. So the next topic, conjugation, will be explained by my friend Ruchita.
Hello everyone. This is Ruchita and I'm dealing with the conjugation. First, the prokaryotic cells such as bacterial cells do not actually undergo the process of meiosis and instead divide the process known as a binary fission. Now, the problem with the binary fission is it produces two genetically identical cells, and that's the problem because if we want to diversify our DNA, binary fission is not the way to go. Now, instead of undergoing meiosis, the methods by which our bacterial cells and other prokaryotic cells diversify their DNA is by using one of the three different processes. So, let's begin with the conjugation. The conjugation is a mating process because it involves two individual bacterial cells. Now, before we have an actual discussion what conjugation is, let's discuss what type of DNA molecules are found inside our prokaryotic cells, inside our bacterial cells. Now, aside from having a main circular DNA molecules inside the bacterial cells, most bacterial cells also contain small circular DNA molecule known as plasmid. And some of these plasmid basically contains genes that codes for proteins, which gives the cells resistance to drugs and other antibiotics. So basically, conjugation is a type of mating process because it involves two individual bacterial cells. Aside from having the circular DNA that codes for most of the bacterial proteins, bacterial cells contains additional DNA called as plasmids. So plasmids, as you mentioned, plasmids are the small circular DNA that can replicate independently of the main DNA molecules, which carry a gene that codes for proteins that gives the resistance to drugs. Although most of the plasmids do exist independently of the main DNA molecules, some plasmids can actually incorporate into the main DNA molecules, and such plasmids are known as episomes. So, if we look at the diagram, if we take a look at the prokaryotic cell, this is the main DNA molecule of our cells, and the smaller one is our plasmid. It's a plasmid. Now, what's the big deal with the plasmid and conjugation? Well, basically, certain type of cells contains special plasmid known as a fertility factor or the F factor. And there are plasmid that codes for special type of proteins that build something called the sex pillars. Now, the sex pillars is basically the cytoplasmic bridge that connects one cell to the another cell and allows one cell to transfer genetic information to different cell. So a cell that contains the fertility factor, the F factor, are called as F plus or the donor cell. The cell that do not contain F factor are called as the F negative or the recipient cell. So to initiate the process of conjugation, the donor cell must actually use its F plasmid or F factor to actually replicate or to actually produce the proteins that build sex pillars. Now, once again, the sex pillars is basically a hollow protein that connect one cell to the another cell, and it allows the transfer of our genetic information. So the donor cell, after it builds the cytoplasmic bridge or the sex pillars, then replicates its plasmid and transfer the replicated plasmid to the another cell. Now, if the plasmid is F plasmid, the recipient cell again gains the ability to build the sex pillars and becomes a donor cell. So let's take a look at the following diagram. We have the donor cell. We have the donor cell or the cell F plus that contains this small circular F plasmid shown in the green. So when our two cells come together, come close together, the F plasmid is used to build the protein that is involved in the cytoplasmic bridge in the sex pillars, so that connects our two cells at the same time. The F plasmid is also replicated. Once it's replicated, it transfers into the cell. So the recipient, it doesn't actually contains F plasmid initially, but after the F plasmid is transferred, now this recipient becomes a donor and basically go and transfer the F plasmid to the another recipient cell. So F plasmid or fertility factor is not the only plasmid that exists. There are other plasmid that exist, such as, for example, R plasmid. R plasmid is basically a plasmid that not only contains proteins that codes for sex pillars, it also contains proteins that gives cells resistant drugs and antibiotics. So basically, this process is known as a mating because we have two individual cells that basically interact through the cytoplasmic bridge known as the sex pillars, and we transfer the genetic information from donor to the recipient. And this process of genetic information in bacterial cells is known as a conjugation. I thank Pratibha ma'am, HOD of Department Biotechnology, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Miss Banupriya, Miss Chaitra, and Miss Ruchita for the seminar talk on recombination in prokaryotes. I hope our other students will be benefited from this particular seminar presentation. I, Dr. Pratibha KS, signing off for the day. Stay tuned with me. We'll be back with some more videos. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Thank you, dear students.
Thank you, ma'am.